Hi, Matt Toms here with another one chart lesson. Today we're doing Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison. Your chart has a few twists and turns in it and a few melody lines that we can play in both full versions and simplified versions. So I'm going to take you through a few different ways of playing the trickier bits of this song and then take you through the whole chart so you can read it like a professional. Your chords are G, and you'll see I do my G with two fingers on the first and second strings on the third fret. You don't have to, you can do the traditional G. My C, that's your traditional C. I play a C usually as a C add 9, which is completely acceptable and completely valid to play a C add 9 instead of a C chord. You're just adding that one note there on the third fret of the B string, which is a D note, to make it a C add 9 instead of a C. But you can pretty much interchange those chords whenever you feel like it. The reason why I like to play a C add 9 there is because it's very easy to go from my G with those two fingers on the top to a C add 9, because all you have to do is move your fingers on the E and the A strings to the A and the D strings. So that's why you'll usually see me play a C add 9 rather than a traditional C chord. You'll also need your D chord, and every now and then we've got an E minor chord as well. So there are your chords, quite basic. It starts off with the melody line, which everybody recognizes. As soon as this song starts, we're going to play that on the G and the B strings. There's two notes happening together. It starts and you're picking these two strings with your first and second fingers, like that. So you start with the two open strings, G and B together, just like on the tab on your chart, G and B together. Then you put your second finger on the second fret G string and your first finger on the first fret B string. Then you slide that shape up 2 frets, so you're on the 4th fret G string and the 3rd fret B string. Then you come back down to the second position that you're in, frets 2 and 1, and back to the 2 open strings. So it sounds like this. Okay, that's the first part. For the second part, we jump over to the B and E strings, again with these two fingers, to the B and E strings. We start with our first finger on the first fret of the B string, and we play the open E string with it. Then we move our third finger onto the 3rd fret B string, and our first finger jumps across to the E string first fret. Slide that shape up 2 frets, from 3 and 1 frets up to 5 and 3. Come back down to 3 and 1. Come down back to 1 and 0. So it goes like this. Jump back to your first riff, and at the end of that you play a D chord. After you strum the D chord, reach over with your third finger to the D string 4th fret. Play the open G string, 2nd fret G string, and do the whole line again. The second time round, you don't need to do that last little riff, those last 4 notes, those last 3 notes. So again, through that intro from the start. Repeating that line. D. Hold it. Then we move into our verse. Now, that riff can be played, and I've added a chart as well just with a simplified version of that riff. So if you don't want to do the 2-string version of that melody line, you can just play the single string version, which goes. Right? It's almost exactly the same as the other one. You could start with that and then move on to the other chart. You've got them both, so you can actually use that as a step up if you like. And you can do something similar with the bridge riff in the middle. It doesn't quite work as well with single notes, but you can absolutely try it. Then we move into our verse. Now, the strumming needs to be nice and easy and relaxed here. You can do this strumming pattern, which will cover you through the whole song. So you can go down, down, up, down, up. Now that strumming pattern sounds more complicated than it is. If you are going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, move your hand in that pattern, but only hit the strings on 1, 2 and 4 and 1, 2 and 4 and. The trick to doing that strumming pattern comfortably, I think, is moving your hand down on the 3rd beat of the bar and missing the strings when you do it. So 1, 2 and 3. So 1, 2 and 3. And then because you've gone down past the strings on the 3rd beat, you're down there ready for the up strum. So 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if you keep your hand moving, you'll go down past that 3rd beat silently and finish with an up, down, up. That's the basic strumming pattern we're going to use throughout this song. Again, once you get comfortable, you can use any strumming pattern you think sounds good. But the key is to keep that right hand moving. Okay, so let's step through the verse. Now, we have a few things going on in this verse that I need to take a moment to explain. We've got a few symbols that direct us to do different things, okay? So once you understand this, it's going to help you out with your chart reading forever into the future. At the beginning of the verse, there's a little thing that looks kind of like a $sign. That's called the sign, or el segno. That is important because when we get to the end of this section, you'll see 2 letters, DS. That stands for del segno, which means go to the sign. Now, when we get to the DS, it works like a repeat sign. It sends us back to wherever that sign is, and it works only once. The reason why we don't use a repeat sign to do that is because we're actually using repeat signs within this verse section on the first 4 bars. So when we start our verse, we play G, C, G, and then D, and then that repeat sign takes us back to the first repeat sign, and we repeat that 4-bar section again. And we play it a total of 4 times. If there's no little times 4 or times 3 or times 5, if there's no little number directing you how many times to repeat a section, you only repeat it once. That is, you play it twice. You play it the first time and then you repeat it once. If there's a little times number there, that tells you how many times to play it in total. Once we've done that 4 times through, we move on through to the C, D, my brown-eyed girl. Then next line, G. Now the next line has blank tab beneath it for most of the whole line. There's a reason for that, and I'll show you why in a second. But we go G, E minor. You're my brown-eyed girl. As we hit this next bar, you'll see it's a bar of D, but it's got a little right-angled line above it with a number 1 on it. That stands for first ending. The next bar along has a little second ending symbol above it. Now what that means is that when we've played through our verse and we've gotten to the end of that line, the first time through we play the bar with the first ending sign above it. We hit the DS, we go back to the sign, we play our repeats, we go through that whole verse section again, but the second time we come through, we skip over the first ending bar and we move straight to the second ending bar. So it kind of gives us, well, it does give us 2 alternate endings with a length of 1 bar, 2 alternate endings for that verse section that we play twice. Now, the first time through, when we hit that bar of D and we play a D chord, the easy version of this song, you can just sit on a D and play it for a bar and then go back to the sendo. When you want to play the tab, it goes like this. You will take your second finger and you will, sliding it up to start with, it sounds good, but it's tricky. So work your way up to it. Start with just putting your fingers on G string, 11th fret, and that's your second finger. First finger goes on E string, 10th fret. So you start there and you play that twice. Then you move that shape down 2 frets. So your second finger is on the 9th fret G string. Your first finger is on the 8th fret E string. You play that once. Then you move this second finger down to the 7th fret, and with your third finger you put that on the E string, 7th fret. So you've got those 2 fingers on the 7th fret. Play that, and if you can, slide those notes down without playing them again to the 5th fret. So it sounds like this. It's okay if you go and play them both, but like sliding into the first little phrase, it sounds good if you slide that down like that. So very slowly, it sounds like this. And I'll do the slides, but you can just, like I said, you can just start here, okay? And when I do slide, I really just slide the G string note and then bring that first finger in behind it. Back to the start of the verse on the G. One more time. Whatever happened. So now we're going through the repeat section. Tuesday and so slow. Repeat. Second time. Coming down the old man with a transistor radio. Third time. Standing in the sunlight laughing, always hiding behind a rainbow's wall. Fourth time. Slipping and sliding all along the waterfall with you. C and D. Next line, my brown-eyed girl. Now this time we skip over that first bar ending, move straight to the second ending where we go, do you remember when? And then we're into the chorus. Remember when we used to sing sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-da, just like that. And then we move into the bridge. Now, the easy version of this is just to play G for 4 bars. If you want to do this guitar line, or the melody line rather, you do this. Second finger on the 4th fret G string. First finger on the 3rd fret E string. So you get this. Then you move your second finger up to the 5th fret G string, and your third finger goes onto the 5th fret E string. Slide both those fingers up to the 7th fret. Come back down to the 5th fret with those same 2 fingers. Back to your first position with 4 and 3 frets. So it's then the second bar, you do a similar thing, but you move over to the D and the B strings. So same fingers, 4 on the D, 4th fret on the D string, 3rd fret on the B string, with the same 2 fingers. Up to the 5th fret with the 2nd and 3rd fingers. Back to the 4th fret and 3rd fret. Then play that again down to the 2nd fret D string and the 1st fret B string, and then finish on open strings for D, G and B strings, which is basically playing a G chord but only using the open strings out of them. So that whole run from the G and the E strings first, 4th and 3rd fret, starting at the beginning of that bridge line. If on that last beat you don't play the open G string because you're used to picking only the 2 strings with your 2 fingers, that's absolutely fine as well. You can go. It's still going to sound good. Okay, so one more time. Then we finish with a bar of that G, or a resting bar. So it's 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we move into a little section which is just the bass. It's 4 bars and it's just the bass guitar plays a little fill. If you want to do this on the guitar, absolutely easy. You come down here to the G, which is the 3rd fret E string. Then you play 3rd fret E string, 2nd fret A string. Move up to the C, which is on the 3rd fret A string. Then 3rd fret A string over to 2nd fret D string, 4th fret D string, open G string, back to your 3rd fret E string, 2nd fret A string, open D string, then you play the open D string again, then you hammer it on quickly to the 2nd fret, like that, and follow it with open G string. So it sounds like this. On to the next verse. Again, we do this little section 4 times. C, D, do you remember when we used to sing sha la 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 da da? So we're into our last chorus. Sha la. You can repeat this last chorus want to. And then when you've had enough, you can either end with the riff or just on G. Or you can go. Go to the riff. Something like that. You can make up your own ending. There are no real rules because they fade out on the original recording.